On this vote, the ayes are 232, the nays are 197. The resolution is adopted.
Remember that? The fastest impeachment in American history, and for good reason. The guy who tried to overthrow democracy was technically still around. The House voted to impeach Donald Trump directly after that insurrection. It was a measure of an attempt at accountability, even knowing how divided Congress was. In the Senate, there were Republicans justifying the vote against convicting by saying, and this echoes now, some may rue the day, that if there were crimes here, crimes against democracy, it would be dealt with inside the criminal justice system.
Impeachment was never meant to be the final forum for American justice. President Trump is still liable for everything he did while he was in office as an ordinary citizen. We have a criminal justice system in this country. We have civil litigation. And former presidents are not immune from being accountable by either one.
Fact check, true. And lately, Donald Trump has been in a lot of trouble in both the civil and criminal courtrooms of America. And we are joined by the former chairman of the Republican Party, Michael Steele. Welcome back, sir.
Hey, it's good to see you, Ari.
It's great to see you. I'll tell you, obviously, McConnell is doing something that politicians often do, and it kind of can work, where they're asked a big question and they just say general facts. Well, this is a rule of law. Well, we have a democracy. Well, we have courts. Yes. Of course, the question facing then McConnell, the Republican Party, was more about whether he was hiding behind other avenues of accountability. No one is here waiting on the Republican Party to change its mind all of a sudden based on the outcome of this stuff. But as a nation, as you see Jack Smith barreling forward with what Donald Trump says will be his second federal indictment, and the first ever, I emphasized this last night as we got the report, the first ever potential charge against Trump for anything he did as president. Abuse of power and a potentially criminal presidency, the courts will decide, distinct from everything he did after and before. Do you see a wider historical accountability possible here?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I love that the intro to this conversation were the words of Mitch McConnell, because it actually is a very appropriate framing that Republicans now are running away from. And the framing is simply this, that, OK, we have a congressional constitutional process that allows the Congress to respond to the actions of a president. And we can impeach him or not impeach him. And that process unfolded. But even beyond that, there's a further more important process of accountability that is the rule of law, the judicial process that is borne out by the investigations and so forth of the Department of Justice and the FBI. And what you heard McConnell saying then was, this process is okay, but if Trump really did something, why aren't we looking at this other process?
And now we are.
Why isn't this the part that we're engaging?
And now we are, yeah.
Hello. Guess what we're doing? It's engaged.
Yeah, it's
he's
very
all up in it.
It's very engaged, up in it, and he admits that too. I mean, there's been an almost reflexive thing, Michael, where people say if Trump said it, it's a lie. If Trump said it, don't platform it. And I do think, and we've been very clear with viewers about how we deal with these things. On the other hand, it tells you something that Donald Trump's the one announcing his own indictments, saying that he's become an expert on subpoenas. He needs to try to prove his argument of selective prosecution. And I say this in all seriousness. I'm not making a joke here. It is a good thing. It tells you something positive about America, that if the truth gets out, he is worried it will still cut in to his ability to run for president. Meaning, he's got all these people. We hear all about the loyalists. But you know what? He's got to lie about this because he's worried that if the truth got out, that this wasn't selective prosecution, that it was evidence-based, he would lose another point and another. And, he left office unpopular. He got beat. And you start out at 42 and you end up at 39. That's not a winning coalition. And so I say that to show, I want to show, and we do this only carefully, but I want to show him, trying to tell his audience, well, he's become an expert at subpoenas, but he needs to twist it. He understands that they've heard that there are actual subpoenas and actual charges, and lying that out of the picture, apparently he doesn't think he can do. So what he has to say is, yeah, you've heard about that. Yeah, it may exist. but it's because they're out to get me, and all the subpoenas themselves are for a political vendetta, even though Jack Smith prosecuted Democrat John Edwards, even though Merrick Garland is a lifelong judge, moderate, was considered not liberal enough by many when he was picked the first time. So take a look at Trump.
I didn't know practically what a subpoena was and grand juries and all of this. Now I'm like becoming an expert. I have no choice because we have to. It's a disgrace.
Michael?
It's laughable. How many times has this dude been sued? He doesn't know what a subpoena is. I practically don't know what a subpoena is. And so that's the deflection lie. That's the, oh my God, I'm just, they're doing something to me I'm just so unfamiliar with, right? You are a New York real estate tycoon, as you like to tell us, a billionaire. You mean to tell me in all the time you've been running your companies, you never once received a subpoena? I think that's pretty well documented at this point. But here's the rub, very much to your point. It is how he wants to get out in front. He wants to continue to play the victim to that audience that eats it whole, completely digesting it, with all the pits and rind included. It doesn't matter to them. They take it all in. If Donald Trump gets up and tells them that I didn't know there was a moon that circled the earth, they believe it. And so that's the reality that he knows. The rest of us are dealing with the realities of the process, the judicial system, the Jack Smiths of the world, who are players in that process that uphold that rule of law. What Trump tries to do is to merge the two in a way that benefits him. He knows this system is bringing a hammer, and when that hammer lands, it's going to hurt. What he tries to do is to cushion his body with the gullibility of his supporters and his voters.